VOC Network here with another unboxing, this time coming from the company OBSBOT. And this is one of the mini webcams that the company has to offer that are AI controlled to deliver a better experience to the user when compared to your typical run-of-the-mill webcam. And by that, I mean it has special features for tracking, focus, all that, while also having the ability to pan and tilt like a RoboCam that you'd typically find in either a really fancy security camera or more than likely something you'd see sitting on a truss or something in a concert or a corporate environment where they're doing a lot of conference calls with multiple people discussing at a time where you need to be able to bounce back and forth and focus on different people. So they took something like that, all that technology, and squeezed it in, some of the technology at least, squeezed it into a tiny little webcam. And that's what became their OBSBOT Tiny series. And they've had multiple models since. Now, the most recent model we covered was the Tiny 2, and that was late last year, I believe it was, or maybe summer of last year. And this is the next version from that. This is the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. And same thing, it's an AI webcam. It's 4K in resolution, or at least up to 4K, and it offers many of those AI-enhanced features that you can find in some of the other models by OBSBOT. It has dual omnidirectional microphones to help it focus on whoever is speaking in front of the microphone, or at least the camera. And with that, we get to the automated features that AI is delivering to this camera, and that's AI tracking, zooming, and focus, which is everything you need for your webcam. And the biggest highlight of that, of course, that makes the OBSBOT webcam so special is that auto tracking. It has the ability to track the user and lock into the user. So if you're pacing around, let's say you are a online streamer and you want to focus on something that you're making in the kitchen or in the lab or in your garage as you're instructing your audience and on your next how-to video, you can walk around and the camera will follow you as you walk around as long as you are locked in. And in order to do that, you're using what they're calling Gesture Control 2.0, which is their latest version. It's also adopted with the regular Tiny model. So it's the Gesture 2.0 series or just version of the technology that the company has come up with. And using gestures such as just holding out your hand in front of you to tell the camera, hey, I want you to focus on me. And then you have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. You have the ability to control it with your voice even, which is pretty awesome, where you can tell it to follow you and to zoom in, zoom out. You have multiple options, which also includes a remote that the company has to offer. So no matter what you're trying to use the camera for, you're covered. Gestures, voice control, remote control, and you can even control some of these features using software. It offers a number of preset modes that you can choose from, as well as what's called a privacy mode, which is if you just tip it downward, it completely cuts off the image so that it's not focusing on you. And it just goes into privacy mode by doing that, or you can use your voice to do it as well, or the controller. You should be able to do it on the controller, I believe, as well. And the motion for it to point straight down, you can do it manually again, or if you do it through one of the other means, it'll also go down. So that way you are confident in the fact that the camera is telling you, I'm not looking, I'm not focusing on you. And you can just take a break in case you need to walk away and come back to the meeting. Another interesting feature that the company has been working on is Stream Deck support. Now, you've been able to use this with Stream Deck, and I believe some of the other models as well, but this is kind of like an introduction into the Stream Deck Plus support that the company has been working on to give you a little bit more integration in the Stream Deck series so that if you are a streamer, you have a little bit more control while using it. And all of this is for a decent MSRP of $179.99, which is a pretty decent price if you consider everything that it has to offer. The fact that it's up to 4K, the fact that you have gestures, remote option, which I believe is extra, you have to pay for this, or just voice control. You have options. And what we're going to do today, though, is we're going to open this up. We're going to see what it looks like, what it comes with, and then we're going to do a little demonstration to see what it looks like. So we'll start with opening the box. And the first thing you'll see here is a little slot here for some documentation. You have a warranty policy and you have the user guide, which is in multiple different languages, so it's not as nearly as intimidating as it looks. It has just, it looks like 8 to 9 pages, 9 pages, just 9 pages of text for you to go through to better understand how your camera works. Now, taking the camera out, you can see how small this is. It is a tiny webcam, as you'd expect a webcam to be, but tiny for what it has to offer. I mean, it's a little tiny miniature RoboCam. It's awesome. It has a small little protector across the front there, just so the glass doesn't get scratched during shipment. And then it has a USB-C port on the back for powering it, and that's it. There's nothing really else that you need to worry about except for turning it down if you want to go into privacy mode. But it can pan and tilt in both directions, as well as zoom, PTZ, pan, tilt, zoom, and you can see your microphones right here, and it has multiple ways of mounting it on your computer setup. So if you're using a laptop, you're using a desktop, they pretty much have you covered. You have a tripod mount on the bottom of it, so you can put a little tripod, you can put on a big tripod, little tripod, but usually, you know, your typical tripod with little spider legs there that are bendable or something, so you can just put it on the desk, have it look up at you, or, you know, wrap it around a bar or something like that. Like here, we got a bunch of truss running around the studio. If you have something more simpler, or something, maybe say a boom arm from a tripod or something, that, or a mic stand or something, you can always wrap that around it, so that way, you know, you can position it anywhere you want. Whatever, the tripod threads on the bottom give you that option to be able to attach this to all sorts of different things, and not just tripods. Again, anything that uses that mount. There's all sorts of adapters and holders that you can really find on the internet that will make use of this type of threads. But on top of that, it also opens up like you would find in a normal webcam scenario, where it can hook onto the top of your screen or a laptop screen, you know, a monitor or a laptop screen. And so basically it just kind of rests on the screen like that, as you'd expect to use with any other webcam. So you have two different options there. You can either just mount it on top of your screen or use the threads for any custom mounting scenarios. Now for accessories, you have a little box here that simply has two parts. One is a really long USB-C to USB-C cable. So, you know, just like any other webcam, you're going to want that. So that way you got the length to your monitor from your desktop, wherever it's located. It's not going to be a one cable to fit them all scenario, but no webcam really is. So you might have to extend it if you have an awkward setup. But in most cases, this should get you down to your desktop and or, you know, from your screen to your laptop if you're just going mobile. And then, of course, if your computer doesn't have USB-C, they do have a USB-C to USB-A adapter here, so that way it'll work with any system. But that's it for the webcam. It's really not a complicated product. You just have your webcam, power cable, and the adapter in case you need the adapter, and of course some instructions. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at the remote control to see what that looks like. And this too is going to be pretty user-friendly when it comes to options. It's going to give you as much control as possible while keeping things pretty simple. Starting at the top here, you have a power button, and then you have 4 options here, which is for selecting your device that you want to control. You have 3 preset user options here. You have a control here of just left, right, up, and down, as well as a camera reset in the center to reset it back to its default position. You have your zoom in, zoom out option. Then you have some features here, including telling it to track the user, and track you. Just click on that so it tracks. And then you have the close-up option, which just zooms in for a close-up. You have a button that's called hand, which just pretty much turns on and off the gesture control. You have a laser pointer for a whiteboard. So if you have a whiteboard behind you or something, you can highlight what you're trying to demonstrate. You have what's called a hyperlink button right here, as well as desk mode. Now desk mode is interesting. If you have the camera up high, like on top of your monitor, because desk mode, you have it mounted on the top of your monitor, and you have something in front of you, like a drawing or some instructions or something you're working on. You know, in a lot of cases it's a sketch, a drawing or something, and you want to focus between you and the drawing. You can just hit desk mode, and the camera focuses and then flips and reverses, so it's focusing on the document that's in front of you on your desk, which is kind of cool, you know, and you can click off of that to go right back to you again. So it just boom, transitions to that, boom, transitions back to you. And this is actually a feature we're seeing pop up more often on webcams, which is kind of cool. So that's just something to point out in case you do a lot of hands-on stuff in front of you as you're talking to your audience. Let it be, you're being an online streamer, or let's just say you're in a conference call and you're trying to show off your latest sketch to your boss. And then you just have page up, page down options right here, and that's it. It does not come with batteries. You do have to supply your own batteries, unfortunately, but it's just 2 AAA batteries, no big deal. And 2 AAA batteries are going to last you a long time in this. And then, of course, I forgot to point out, it does require USB, which is right here, so that way your computer knows what's going on, because you can control multiple devices with this. So if you have 4 different of the OBSBOT cameras in your setup, you can get different angles going just by going 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this little USB thing here, a little receiver, is so that it can talk to that computer. So finally, between both of these, that's it. You have a nice, very functional, but easy to understand remote, and you have an incredibly user-friendly camera that comes with a lot of features that help you to make use of it. And if you need anything more, which the average person, if you're a beginner, this should be perfect for most people. If you need one step up from this, of course, you can check out the company's, their OBSBOT just Tiny 2, which is the non-light version, for a few extra features and a little step up in performance. But what we're gonna do right now is we're going to hook this up to a laptop. We're gonna bring one over here, and we're gonna see what it actually looks like when using the webcam. So now we are using the camera to do everything, including video as well as audio. If all of this is coming from the webcam directly. And again, we have some voice control and everything else, but if you just want to keep things a little bit more behind the scenes, and obviously you don't want your viewers to see you talking to your camera, of course you just cut that out anyways, but you have control using the remote. So you can zoom in, zoom out, you can press and hold, you can do all sorts of things. Of course, this isn't going to look as nice since I'm in 4K right now. If you want the best results for zooming in and out, you want to be typically in 1080p, because it gives you that 4K range to play with when it comes to moving around the frame. And it just kind of broke the secret of what's going to happen next in terms of gesture control. I accidentally putting my hand out, I actually told it to focus on me. So I'm going to tell it to stop tracking me there for a moment, but you have a lot of control using this or your gestures. But as I said, you have different presets. We haven't really programmed any presets into this, but you do have your device control option here. We only have one camera plugged into the computer, so the software shows that only one is lit up. So I can't really switch between options at the moment. You have the option to do close up, which just tells us to do a close up. Of course, I'm in 4K, so it's not really going to do that. If I had it on 1080p, then it would zoom in and capture me more from like here to here. You have the option to turn on hand gesture on and off, which I believe right now, yeah, it's not going. That was successful to tell it to stop tracking. So right now, hand gestures are off. I can turn that back on, and all I have to do is just hold up my hand, and it tells it to track me. So if I move around, you should be able to see it happen. If I go to the right, if I go to the left, it's going to follow me no matter what. If I'm walking around, just leaning or anything like that, it's going to follow me, which is pretty cool. And all I did was trigger it to follow me based on my hand. If I wanted to untrack me, I just hold the hand up again, and it stops tracking me. So you can try to be sly in your video and just kind of go, hey, that's just my vote on the matter, whatever, and secretly you just told it to track you, so now it'll start moving around with you, and your audience might not pick up on that. And then, of course, you have the option to zoom, which you can do by just holding your hand out like that, and then to zoom back out, you just hold out your hand like that again. It's sometimes important to have your fingers up versus down, just to make sure it sees you, so having them up versus all the way down, where sometimes it doesn't. Of course, it seems like they really fixed that for the most part. And some of the other cameras, it really helped to have your fingers or your knuckles more noticeable. In this case, that's not so much the case. And if you want to control that zoom, you can do it from here by going like this. So like you're touching and zooming with your fingers on your phone, there's a lot of option, a lot of power right there when it comes to achieving this. And then you have the tracked on and off option. You have the desktop mode. Of course, we don't have anything happening right now on the desktop. Of course, you have your whiteboard mode, and in case you have a whiteboard behind you, and it's just a laser pointer. But if you are working with a whiteboard, you can say, as you can see in example A over here, I'm definitely going to get a raise this week. That says that behind me. It does. So again, voice control, remote control, app control. I can do everything if I wanted to play with the app here or the software here. And the app is required on your computer, of course. You do need to have that because that's what brings everything together. That's what allows you to use more than one camera. That's what allows you to use the remote. That's what allows you to jump into certain options like beautification mode and other adjustments that this really just has going for it. And as well as setting your presets, of course, because these buttons, preset 1, 2, and 3, isn't really going to do anything unless you tell it what's supposed to be preset within those options. But it looks good, it sounds good, it has a lot of features, it can track me if I'm walking around during the meeting, if I'm falling asleep, it's going to zoom in on me so that everybody can see me snoring. It has everything, all within an affordable price point of just $179.99. And of course, if you want to get the remote, that might be a little bit extra, but I do advise getting the remote because it's nice to just have that in your hands down here. Nobody sees you using it. You can zoom in, zoom out, do whatever you want with this thing, and nobody knows you're doing it. So it's nice to have that. You don't have to have your hand up all the time. It's just a certain luxury that makes using the camera all the better when your hands are off screen at least. And if not, then you can use voice control or you can use your gestures. And then of course, privacy mode, if you just turn on privacy mode. So it's just a great way for you saying, I gotta go and I'll be back and I don't want anybody to see or hear me. It just clacks you out for a bit while you're still connected to whatever your conference call or recording session, whatever you're choosing to use. So there you have it, the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite AI Webcam from, well, OBSBOT. And it is available right now. It was originally introduced at NAB 2024 in Las Vegas. And the company just kind of took some time just to make a few adjustments to make sure it was ready for consumers, and then launched it just recently, literally just so many days ago. So it's been within the last week or so that it hit store shelves, and you can find this on their website as well as Amazon likely, and we'll try to provide some links in the description as well. If you liked what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe and follow us, as well as take that like button to let us know you like this video, and definitely make use of the comment section below so we can all discuss with each other any questions or interests that you might have for each other, for us maybe, or even the manufacturer if they're watching. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.